The global financial system is growing a brain. SWIFT, the same network that deals in $150 trillion annually between 11,500 banks, essentially just confirmed last week that they are building out blockchain infrastructure. And we get a little bit more to that story over the past few days here. It appears that Ethereum Layer-2 solution Linea from Consensys, yes, that Consensys is directly involved with the SWIFT initiative. At the same time, I found a Rothschild document basically giving a shout out to Chainlink and talking about the SWIFT and UBS pilot for tokenized fund flows. DTCC, Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, today pretty much had an entire X article on how tokenization is reshaping the global financial market infrastructure. And the Canary XRP ETF just filed its latest S1 with the SEC. This isn't about AI or crypto hype today. We're going to dive into AI with Hedera, Hashgraph Online, and more. It's about the automation of money itself. Welcome to SWIFT, robots, the Rothschilds, the shocking truth of your future. What is up, everybody? Solomon here. Got to spice things up a little bit today, I guess, with these titles, since everybody else is going the hype route. Anyways, so I want to start with this. I'll start with what we talked about yesterday. Pretty straightforward. 4.17 trillion resistance for the total crypto market. This is why you're seeing a gigantic red candle right now, because we weren't able to basically hold above that level. Same thing with Bitcoin. You could look at Bitcoin's price action. I actually want to I'm not going to stay too long on this. I've had this up, and those of you guys that have been here for a while know that I've had this chart up with these measured time frames and some other stuff for like literally 2.5 years. Man, I hope that we don't. I hope we haven't already topped or don't top in October. So, anyways, I'll leave it at that. Same statement still applies. I mean, from a long-term standpoint, a lot of these ecosystems I am just perfectly comfortable holding for, literally more years. I could care less. I'm kind of here for the long haul, hopefully. SWIFT and Linea, the infrastructure. And now this is coming out of Cointelegraph, but also there's some backup stuff here with Joe Lubin from Token 2049. At Token 2049 Singapore, Consensys CEO Joseph Lubin officially confirmed that SWIFT is using Linea, the Ethereum Layer-2 developed by Consensys. That's not Consensys with a US, that's Consensys with a YS. And for those of us that have been here for a while, we know what entity Consensys is. So for their new blockchain-based global payments rail, SWIFT had already announced a collaboration with Consensys and over 30 major banks, but hadn't named the chain that was going to be building out the infrastructure for SWIFT's actual blockchain network. But it looks like Joseph Lubin confirmed this at Token 2049. He said that when SWIFT shared the news privately with the banking sector, the reaction was unanimous. Quote, "Thank you for doing this. It's about time DeFi and TradFi come together." Now, I recommend that you guys search. I don't want to get flagged for anything here with any of the, like sharing audio or anything. But I would very much so recommend you can find these clips on X. And he basically says that SWIFT had to soft roll out the announcement, but he doesn't have to. So he kind of went ahead and announced it. That being said, take all this stuff with a grain of salt. Who knows? There could be deep fakes out there too. But this will be huge, obviously, if confirmed. Linea uses zero-knowledge Ethereum virtual machine or ZK EVM roll-up technology, meaning faster, cheaper Ethereum-compatible settlements. Essentially, what Linea offers for a scaling solution on the Ethereum network is 150 transactions per second. I know it doesn't sound too crazy. 1/15 of the fees of Ethereum mainnet, 2.3 billion in total value locked. And with SWIFT moving 150 trillion a year, even partial migration onto any verified blockchain rails would be pretty massive. Participating institutions include Bank of America, Citibank, JP Morgan Chase, TD Bank, and as we mentioned before, SWIFT has about 11,500 banks under the umbrella. All right, I found this today, which I thought was interesting. This is a Rothschild and Company Asset Management. This is ARCO Thematic Blockchain Global Equity from October of 2025. Tokenization, they quote the same thing that we caught a few days ago in the video, and you guys probably remember that Robinhood CEO was quoted saying tokenization is like a freight train. It can't be stopped, and eventually it's going to eat the entire financial system. Well, they pull that same exact quote here in the Rothschild's document. Talks about industry news to watch, and this is why I flagged this video. We've talked about all of this stuff, I think, except for QNB on the past 2 weeks videos. So yes, you are getting news a couple of weeks ahead of when the Rothschilds are giving news to their investors. You can look back a few weeks ago when I did the video on the NASDAQ investing $50 million into digital assets platform Gemini. You can actually look the day before that video that I did about the NASDAQ filing with the SEC to tokenize the stock market. You also have SWIFT and UBS pilot on-chain subscription and redemption workflows for tokenized fund using Chainlink's CR. Using Chainlink CRE or the Chainlink runtime environment. And then there's a QNB group document as well. So direct confirmation of Chainlink's role in the SWIFT tokenization infrastructure coming out of Rothschilds as well. And they're literally telling you industry news to watch here, which is interesting. So different lanes, different purposes. Obviously, the Linea SWIFT stuff is about kind of the blockchain infrastructure that Swift's trying to build. The Chainlink SWIFT stuff deals in kind of data and more of an interoperability layer. But yeah, tokenization is like a freight train that cannot be stopped. All right, DTCC. We'll move forward to this. And I had a guy comment yesterday saying, I don't like that you're using AI to compile all this information. Well, I would recommend going to one of the other channels that people that just read tweets for 15 minutes and don't do any research, and you'll probably get more information that you're accustomed to, because it takes a long time to compile this stuff, and I've got to put it in a format that is somewhat digestible and somewhat manageable to talk through. Even the DTCC, the $2 quadrillion clearinghouse of Wall Street, just released a new tokenization document that is entitled A Practical Shift in Finance. Their words within this are that tokenization streamlines processes, reduces intermediaries, and can settle trades in minutes instead of days. And we know with blockchain tech, you can essentially get down to seconds. There's still going to be a lot of like checks and balances. So even if we get to like atomic settlement or instantaneous settlement, there's still going to be like manual or semi-checked processes. I don't want to say manual. All right, so, and I want to go forward. Again, you can read through DTCC's. You can actually go to DTCC's site and sign up for a newsletter that they send out quarterly on tokenization. This is a document, though, another one that came out of InvestAx. This is a Q3 2025 real-world asset tokenization market report. You can find all of this stuff all throughout. Past couple of days, this has come out. Some stats that are interesting for you guys here. Tokenized assets total 30 billion plus. This is up 10x since 2022, and that number is still low because we know that the aggregator sites like RWA, XYZ, and some of the others do not have all the numbers. Private credit, 17 billion tokenized. U.S. Treasuries, 7.3 billion. Commodities and alternative funds, 2 billion each. Some familiar names within this InvestAx document that we've talked about before. Canton Network, $4 trillion in tokenized transactions. Canton has direct integration with NASDAQ. I want to say direct integration with DTCC, direct integration with Chainlink. They're part of that Global Blockchain Business Council risk mitigation framework alongside Ripple, Hedera, Chainlink, Cardano, Avalanche, Clearstream, Euroclear, and the World Bank. So definitely Canton Network we've talked about. Regulatory process in the US, UK, Singapore, Japan, and Hong Kong. This is the same pattern. Institutions aren't joining crypto. They're rebuilding finance on programmable ledgers. All right, let me move forward. Hedera, XTC, and real-world deployments. So Hedera recently made history over the past weekend. I'm going to go through this AI stuff here in a second, too. Let me get to the homepage. You can go and check out all this stuff on genfinity.io if you want to. Genfinity.io. New York Skyline makes history. First building tokenized through Red Swan Digital with Hedera. So you essentially have that they've, Hedera, number one, Red Swan has tokenized over $100 million in real estate across multiple networks, but they include Hedera and Stellar. And you can see Gregory Bell from the Hedera Foundation. I will give a full disclosure. Genfinity doesn't have any relationship with the Hedera Foundation, but we do within the ecosystem. So make sure you guys are doing your own due diligence. History was made in New York City real estate this week. The first building on the iconic New York City skyline has officially been tokenized, a huge moment for RWAs. Shared during the Red Swan Digital Summit yesterday alongside a keynote from Scaramucci. And I think he had more discussion down here. Yeah, some more context. The landmark move by Red Swan unlocking new liquidity and fractional ownership for one of the world's most valuable markets. The choice of Hedera as the layer 1 was strategic, a network specifically designed for the high bar of pun intended, high bar of regulatory financial markets where enterprise-grade security and performance are absolute requirements. The trust layer for the future of finance. And I also want to talk briefly about the AI studio stuff and give a huge shout out to more of a community builder, but certainly a huge initiative out of all of the Hedera ecosystem. Hashgraph Online and Cantor, Michael, what he's doing out of the Hashgraph Online entity, and this is obviously a DAO as well. There's multiple players, some of the biggest projects in Hedera are a member of this. These guys have been crushing it, not sponsored or paid to say that. A new era of AI agentic communication. You guys can read through this. Essentially, what they've got here is a launch of their registry broker. This platform is going to set a new standard as the first agentic hub designed to streamline connections between different agents, model protocol systems, and data brokers across not only Hedera, but kind of the broader space, I'm sure, eventually as well. And last shout out to Hedera. You can go check out all the AI studio stuff on Hedera. There's a ton. I've already shared my thoughts previously about why I think Hedera is a really well-suited network for agentic AI. Let me get into XDC network, but again, shout out to Hashgraph Online and all of the Hedera builders. I know Patches from the Hedera ecosystem too. Like OG Dev is like, that's like almost his obsession is like connecting artificial intelligence with distributed ledger. And he believes that that's totally kind of the future of where everything's going and making sure that that's done correctly, more importantly, because as this graphic for this video alludes to, it's like we could be heading towards like a really crazy future society. And if things don't get done in the appropriate ways, it gets a little bit scary. So XDC Network launches innovative engagement hub for community contributions. So this community tokenization being pushed forward with this new hub on the XDC network. And yeah, shout out to everybody that was involved with this. I know Benny from the XDC ecosystem and some others are always involved in all this stuff, and we wanted to cover it, or I wanted to cover it for you guys today. You can check more of this article out if you want to. Genfinity has a media relationship with XDC Foundation, so make sure you're doing your own research on this stuff. Interestingly enough, just talked about this, yesterday or the day before, saying, hey, starting to see announcements like this. And, you know, I don't think that memes go away, but I remember directly saying that when you get involved with stuff like this, please be careful because you're not doing the long-term thing, the sustainable thing in this space. Like you look into digital assets that are being integrated into the financial system. Yeah, they might not succeed, but at the end of the day, at least you know that there's real-world integrations and you're taking the best decision-making, processes into account whenever you're making your own decisions to buy into those things, whether that be XRP, whether that be Chainlink, whether that be Hedera, whether that be AVAX, whether that be literally pick an asset that you've researched, that you've seen have real world integrations and you decide to buy into, whatever. That's different. And that's not financial advice on my end, but I'm just saying it's totally different. But then when you look at something like this, which is introducing Meme Rush, a gateway to high potential meme tokens on Binance, this is obviously straight up gambling. And whenever you straight up gamble in crypto, you get, a couple of days later, a day later, 2 days later, BNB chain memes plunge 95%. Why traders eye Solana come back? So, yeah, we migrated over to BNB because there's supposedly this renaissance of memes on BNB. And now BNB chain memes plunged 95%. And now the narrative is, hey, let's migrate back to Solana. And it's just like, okay, when are we going to stop doing the same shit? Like, I don't have a problem with memes. Personally, I don't. I have some. Like, I hold some. You guys that have been here for a long time probably know that I certainly degen to an extent. I haven't, not nearly as much as, years ago, but still, like, but you got to look at them for what they are. They're straight up gambling. And like when the entire space is fueled by memes and coins that are just like literally invented like within a 6 hour period, and then people are like talking about them like they're the best things in sliced bread. It's like, you know, this stuff is being integrated into the whole financial system. It's being integrated into our daily lives, and it's going to be a part of our daily lives. It's like, it's great. Yeah, there's certainly like some fun in gambling and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's gambling is gambling. And, I'd rather be here 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 years thinking about like how epic it is. Like I still think there's a potential for like in like 2040 or 2050, like for people to say, "Oh, dude, you bought $100 worth of XRP in 2025." Like that's a ridiculous like you know, testament to whatever, like that's legendary or whatever. Even though right now that seems a ridiculous thing to say because XRP is at a fairly high market cap, not as high as Ethereum and BNB and Bitcoin right now, but it's at a fairly high market cap. But that's me saying like I still don't think that we have. I still don't even think that we've scratched the surface with adoption yet. I've said this before. Like single companies have one single company, Nvidia has a bigger market cap than all of crypto combined. So that should tell you exactly where crypto's at. Gold has what like a 6x the market cap of all of crypto combined, and crypto is going to swallow gold. Like gold's going to be around forever, but physical gold. But at the end of the day, like as an asset class, crypto is going to swallow all asset classes or at least integrate with them. So just be careful. You guys spend so much time. I'm sure many of you guys making decisions on what to and what not to do in this space, which is hard enough as it is. But whenever you see stuff like this, which is like high potential, things, and oh, it's what an opportunity. And then you see a day later the same news talking about it crashing, and it should not be surprising to any of us that have been here for a while. I want to finalize with this Bank XRP legend in the XRP community. There's definitely less than probably five. No, maybe not less than five. There's probably less than 10 OG like accounts in XRP land that aren't taking every Ripple announcement still in 2025 and turning it into an XRP announcement. Bank XRP has been probably one of the most consistent, been in XRP community forever. He posts the Canary XRP ETF, files an S1A with the SEC for a spot XRP fund to trade as, quote, XRPC as the ticker on CBOZ or CBOE. It tracks XRP value via CoinDesk benchmark, high risk investment, and you can find the full filing here, but I found this only after seeing his tweet. So yeah, October 10th, Canary Capital Group LLC filed pre-effective amendment number 2, Form S1A for the Canary XRP ETF with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The objective is to track the value of XRP held by the trust minus expenses. The benchmark is CoinDesk's, as we mentioned, XRP 60-minute New York rate. Custodians would be Gemini Trust and BitGo. Hold the XRP as a cash custodian, U.S. Bank North America. Basket size 10,000 shares, et cetera, et cetera. It's the first tangible XRP product pipeline to reach this stage, backed by institutional custodians. Regulated exposure to XRP is no longer theoretical. Obviously, it's in motion. So as we ramp down here, and I know there's always a lot to try to get through, SWIFT and Linea stuff is pretty interesting. I would watch for additional layers of confirmation of that. Double check. I actually will probably catch a lot of flack for this, but who cares? I actually bought a tiny bag of Linea. Whatever. If it's actually real and they're like truly integrated with SWIFT and stuff's going to potentially even maybe use the Linea token down the line, who cares? I mean, I still hold XRP and all that other stuff, but at the end of the day, like if stuff's going to get used, that's like the type of stuff I want to gamble on at this point in time, is be like, okay, there might be something to this, and even if there isn't, like I'm willing to lose it. But I would rather do that and like hold stuff than like go on to BNB and like look for high virality meme coins in 2025. There's too much other shit that's going on that's like, okay, I wish I had more time to like really deep dive into all this stuff and research like I used to, because I would probably be absolutely destroying it. And I don't think now is necessarily the right time either to be doing that with where we could be at in a cycle. And I hope, like I said before, I mean, I've had this chart up for like 2 years now, 2.5, maybe 2.5 years. I've been sharing this, and I've like literally this date I've had up for like 2.5 years, and I'm just, I hope that's not the case. It doesn't feel like we've topped, and it doesn't have to feel like we've topped, I guess, either. I will say one thing is when people say like the altcoin season hasn't started yet, don't pay attention to those people at all. Those like that's there have been things that have went 10x, 50x, 100x, 1000x still this cycle. So there's stuff that's still happened. I remember people said in 2020, or I'm sorry, 2021 or whenever that previous cycle top was, 2021. That altcoin season didn't happen, and that was nonsense. It 1000% happened. All the people that were saying that just missed it. So like, make sure that like, regardless, don't pay attention to like narratives. The general rule would be, don't buy anything at all-time high. Use some indicators that like you can start buying stuff lower than under some moving averages, like longer-term moving averages, and try to hedge your bets, and then just like literally kind of sit and wait is kind of the easiest move. But whenever people were saying altcoin season didn't happen yet, it's like, okay, but nothing's guaranteed. So like XRP has already, whatever multiplier XRP went to this cycle, it was at, I don't even want to pull up the chart right now, but I know it wasn't at $3 or $2.70. So it's obviously went up drastically. Hedera went up drastically. It was at like 4 cents a year ago. So for people to say we're not in a bull run or we haven't topped yet, it's like, okay, but what's your metric for that? You're just saying that. Now, do I think we've topped? I hope not. But anyways, we're leaving the age of speculation regardless. I'm rambling now. We're entering a new era of payment systems. I'll read my AI script as we close down here to give you guys a warm and fuzzy as we close. SWIFT looks to potentially be building on Linea for Rails. Chainlink, obviously connecting fund flows, and directly mentioned by the Rothschild document, which I find pretty interesting. And we've presented this stuff for weeks for you guys. Same thing with the NASDAQ one. Let me mention real quick here, DTCC. So you want to talk tokenization with DTCC. These two documents are patents, and I have seen these repurposed about 100 times after I found them on Twitter, and people saying they're just about XRP, which is, and whatever other asset they want to say they're just about. Number one, when these entities are putting out patents, they're making patents as broad as possible because they want to cover all their bases. These enterprises and institutions do not have, I mean, they're not going to singularly try to silo themselves into one crypto or one tech, if that makes sense. They're building to integrate with as much as they possibly can because, they don't want their lunch to be eaten and they want to be around. This patent, for example, has like all of these networks directly mentioned, this DTCC patent. Now, this is coming off the back end of SEC currency and the acquisition that DTCC made, but these are really interesting patents. This one and the digital liquidity tokens, which this one does directly mention XRP and Stellar. But this comes off the back end of the SEC currency stuff too, and out of that acquisition. But you want to read some interesting stuff. I mean, read some of this stuff here about basically wallet management, account management, like this hierarchy, like this tree management structure of like the way that different permissions are going to hit different levels of accounts, whether it's like an owner account or underneath that account. And really, like, they're talking about tokenizing the entire financial system with all the stuff DTCC is talking about. So it's like coming. It's just a matter of kind of time. And I'm totally totally ranting at this point in time. So hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. There's a lot of stuff to get into. There's going to be a lot of stuff to get into next week as well. And we'll see where next week takes us. Hopefully it's a good week. Hopefully it's not whatever's going on right now with all this red stuff. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I'll talk to you guys when I talk to you. Stay blessed. Bye.